who say, God gave me the gift. These people are playing the devil's game, but refusing to use the devil's name.
Well, that's right. Wouldn't you consider any form of divination or faith healing or tarot
divination
reading
is biblically forbidden. I would consider it to be satanic.
So we would say that anything that would fall under that category would be considered satanic. And it's not just us. I mean, this has been throughout history. And predating Christianity, there have always been those who have veered from the mainstream, whatever that mainstream was, who have gone out in the wilderness and built shacks to live in, to be away from the mainstream and live their own lives the way they feel they ought to.
Well, the one thing I can say, you Satanists are certainly more honest than most witches when it comes to acknowledging the authenticity, the reality of what you're doing.
We're not, as I was saying, you might not like what we have to say, but we are honest. I mean, we don't claim to be anything that we aren't.
Well, speaking of
let me explain what happened. The Other Side of Madness, a film that was made in 1970, an exploitation film, was shown. And of course, as everyone has reported in the national media, the audience cheered during the murder sequence.
Well, this is a bloody murder sequence. I mean, this was when Sharon Tate's body is slit open and her child, her unborn child, is removed. And
no, that didn't happen, but that's a fine point. But yes, it was a bloody murder.
The audience cheered.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas, you're sitting there so calm.
What do you want me to do? Cry? What do you want me to do? Have remorse and break down in tears?
This is what I find interesting.
What is the proper reaction from a Christian?
You won't say that Hitler is evil. You sit there calmly. You want us...
What do you want? What's the right thing to do from the Christian point of view? Should I moan and whine about it?
Isn't this what you expect
We're
of
looking
us?
at human nature. If you can't accept it, that's your problem. I can.
Murder is always part of human nature.
Is it wrong? Is it wrong? Is it wrong to murder?
What is wrong?
Are you going to change it?
Is it wrong to murder?
Depends on the circumstances.
No, you answer the question. Is it wrong to murder?
What is wrong? Murder is part of life.
We're telling you, we don't believe in good, evil, right, wrong dichotomy. If I come at you and you kill me in self-defense, is it wrong? Should you sacrifice yourself?
No, wait a minute.
Murder can't be.
That's not murder.
Murder is no more wrong. Well, there, you're deciding.
Murder is no more wrong than what?
You're deciding what murder is.
What is it then? Define everything if you want to debate it clearly.
There always has been
we got
murder.
6,000 years of human history to define what murder is.
That's right. So how are we
Killing
going to
is a part of animal behavior. Humans do it more than others.
I don't really believe that I would need to worry about walking down a dark alley and being followed by either of you with a gun in your pocket. But what you have just said, let me finish. What you have just said, articulated to the masses, particularly in a dysfunctional society where people are filled with all types of anger and rage because of past abuses, what you're really doing, I think, is potentially lighting a fuse. I'm not worried that you're going to pull a gun out of your pocket and shoot me in front of these cameras, but I don't know that somebody else might not do that because of what you said. You're not willing to condemn murder.
Let me answer your questions in 3 points. The masses. We have no regard for the masses. Satanism is a religion for the elite. It is a religion for leaders. It's a religion for competent people. It's not a religion for anyone who wants to be a Satanist. We don't say welcome to the club.
The homeless, the handicapped, those with multiple sclerosis.
I don't want the homeless, the handicapped.
The people in Mother Teresa's home for the dying and the destitute, they need not apply.
I don't want them. You've taken that on your shoulders. That's your job. You're doing a great job with the homeless. You help everyone. We're helping those who help themselves, as it says in your Bible. And you can take the weak.
No, it doesn't say that in the Bible.
You can take the decrepit. You can take people who can't help themselves. We don't want them. It's simple. It's very simple.
The homeless you don't want to shelter?
No, I don't want to shelter people who can't take care of themselves. Why can't they?
The hungry, the starving, you don't want to
feed?
Dina, go ahead, Dina. What were you saying?
That produces more of the same. There has to be some change. If you look at the animal kingdom, how is the animal kingdom able to survive. There is no such thing as homeless.
Back to social Darwinism again. In the animal kingdom, you preserve what is strong.
Hang on.
You give more food to the stronger animal.
Until humans
you don't feed
intervene
the
and start
weaker
killing
one.
the animals.
I'm trying to...
There's no welfare in
Nicholas,
the animal world.
I'm trying to remain as academically detached as I possibly can.
It's not an academically
but what
detached
you're saying
question.
Is so absolutely disgustingly outrageous. Now,
And
just
to
wait,
me-
just wait a minute. Let me...
To me, it's disgustingly outrageous that you would help these weak people who are draining our resources, who are causing so many problems. We could be doing positive things in the world.
Zena, I want to ask
These weaklings are taking away all of our energy and resources. And you've decided to help them. That's disgusting to me.
You've never been to a refugee camp.
Why would I possibly want to go to a refugee camp?
Zena, I've been
You have
there.
this
I wanna ask
masochistic
Zena.
love for
She's a woman.
weakness.
And what do you think that'll gain you?
Because
You wanna ask me?
women have more
'cause women
sensitive
are
natures.
soft.
I just want to make sure it isn't this firm resolve of this man who's over.
If you're going to get a soft reaction from me because I'm a woman, then you won't.
Not. If you were in an Ethiopian famine camp,
What would
You
I
would-
be doing there?
you
Isn't
would
that the
not-
problem of the Ethiopian government, to take care of their own people? Why should we be taking
no, I tell you
care
what it's
of
the
them?
problem of. It's the problem of a communist totalitarian ideology in the Mengistu government that put those people in the place.
I agree with you
Philosophy,
there.
Well,
sir,
that's
a philosophy
fine, so
of
that's fair.
dialectical materialism, a communist me-first
No, but-
philosophy
oh,
that is
nonsense. Let
not
me-
far from what you've said.
See,
now,
that's-
just
okay,
wait,
let's
wait,
put
wait.
it back
let's
on an academic level.
No, let's get back to the refugee camp.
Okay, now,
You don't. I want to ask Zena. Zena, you don't want to feed starving people. You want them to die. That's what you're telling
Now,
me.
I like your salesman technique of putting words in people's
Well,
mouths.
then you speak for yourself.
Did I ever say I want them to die? I'm saying, why do they exist in the first
Would
place?
you feed them?
Why would they be allowed
Would
to
you raise
exist?
money? Would you do what you could to collect the resources to feed them?
Would a wolf raise money to collect resources
For
to
the
feed
whelps of the living.
a monkey in the tree?
Just yes or no, would you?
I'm using analogies. No, of course I wouldn't. If I did that, wouldn't they become more and more dependent on me and less dependent on themselves?
No, not
Well, why is
necessarily.
that?
well, that hasn't been proven yet.
No,
so.
not necessarily.
Well, if you-
We're talking about
You
people.
just-
No. We're not talking about either lazy people or incompetent people.
Incompetent people.
No,
Yes, we are.
sir.
The Ethiopian government is incompetent.
But the people who suffer the starvation did
Why
not.
do we have a responsibility to help them unless we believe this nonsense in the Bible?
Because they're,
if we're realists, we
because they're
don't
human
have any.
beings. Because they feel pain. Because they suffer. Because they hurt. Does not the hurt and pain
That
of another
isn't enough. That isn't enough reason
Does
for
not the hurt and suffering of another human being at all touch your...
if the human being is worthy
So
of
what
my
you're s-
attention, I love people who are worthy of my love. That's very few.
And what you're saying
People
is
who
we
are
have-
strong, I admire them. I'll help them. I won't help people who are weak.
And
Okay.
what you're saying is we have to take the responsibility of other people's actions upon ourselves when we've done nothing, absolutely nothing, to have that result. We didn't do anything to
Does that
promote.
matter? They hurt. I mean, they're in pain. Does it matter? Does it matter? They hurt. I mean, you hurt. You call yourself an animal, but you hurt. You cut your finger. You bleed. This is, Zena, this is your father's book, the Satanic Bible. I mean, this is it. This is the diatribe of the devil that has brought together thousands of people in your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
The true prince of evil.
Isn't that poetic?
Do you believe that, Zena?
And aren't you taking it a bit out of context?
I'm reading it. I mean, I'm reading
Oh,
it.
Well,
okay.
isn't
Hand me
Jesus-
that Holy Bible and I'll read you something too.
Oh, Zena, you know what I'm reading. I mean, you know the book. It's page
by our
30 right
standard,
here.
Jesus is the
I-
true Prince of Evil.
Will you
Let
let
me-
me read something from my own book?
Well, let me read it first,
Oh,
okay?
and why is that?
You don't want to... I'm reading...
Why can't I choose things to read as you would choose things from your
Well,
book carefully
because
to
I'm
read?
the person conducting the interview right now.
Well, maybe we should interview you.
I
But
gaze...
survival of the fittest. You are
I
a
gaze
social
into the
Darwinist.
glassy eye of
Why
your
aren't we-
fearsome Jehovah.
Right?
I pluck him by the beard, I uplift a broad axe, and split open his worm-eaten skull.
Right.
Did you know who wrote that?
You tell me.
Do you know who
No, I
Ragnar
don't
Redbeard
know.
is?
Who?
Ragnar Redbeard?
No, yes, Redbeard, yes. He wrote this. Well, your father's re-quoted it here.
Okay.
Whatever the case. Now, this is violent. This is abusive. It is...
To Jehovah?
It's insulting, but beyond the insulting part of it, do you not find any reprehensibility in using this kind of language? Mind you, I don't believe that Buddha is God. I don't believe that Muhammad was a prophet. But I would never write something like this about Muhammad or Buddha.
That's because you feel like you have to please everyone.
No, because I would have some feelings of sensibility. I mean, you don't feel that there's any inciting of any violent rage in people in this type of language?
Obviously there is.
Of course
Well, I'm
there
asking
is.
Zena, do you?
Of course there is.
All right, I want to go through the 9 satanic statements, and I'm going to ask each of you alternately, if you will, to elaborate on them so that there is no
It should be
misunderstanding.
pretty self-explanatory, but
Unlike the
Okay.
Christian Bible, the Satanic Bible speaks for itself. It requires no scholars to have councils
There's
of
no
Trent to
hidden
decide
meaning.
what this word meant
I
or that
wouldn't
word.
say that the Bible does either, but let's get to the 9 satanic statements, okay? Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Zena?
isn't that self-explanatory? What is indulgence? That you have to be good to yourself before you can adequately be good to others? Is that evil? Is that wrong?
Are there any limits on that indulgence?
There's another section in the Satanic Bible that differentiates indulgence from compulsion.
Okay.
Maybe you'd
And
like to read that
self-destruction.
part.
Would you not, let's suppose that a pedophile's indulgence were the molestation of children, would you place that under this particular heading here of the first satanic statement,
It's
if that's his
clearly
indulgence?
stated. It's clearly stated in there how we feel about children and animals, and you know it.
I'm
It says in-
asking you.
It
I'm
says in
asking
the
you.
Satanic Bible that we revere children and animals above all things.
So there are limitations on the indulgence.
Of course. There are limitations imposed by your own self-discipline and fortitude, not because you believe what you read from God. That's a very primitive and silly way to go about living. We live because we know what is right for us.
You know.
And to us, as it says in this...
You've constructed your own individual reality.
And I think it
determined
works a hell of a lot better than the Christian one.
Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit.
Look at the world as it really is. Don't delude yourself into thinking it's a way that it is not by calling upon holy cant and scripture as your guide to life. Let's look at the real world, look at the human condition as it exists right here and now.
Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates. See it?
Well, I already explained that too, insofar as turning the other cheek. Kindness, if you're kind to me, then obviously I will be kind to you. We treat people as they treat us. If someone's going to be rude to us or treat us inappropriately, then they have to expect that in return. We won't waste our kindness on what we would consider ingrates, and that is being treated with disrespect or rudeness.
Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. And let me flip over here to page 33 and also quote in companion to that, quote, hate your enemies with a whole heart. If a man smites you on one cheek, smash him on the other. He who turns the other cheek is a cowardly dog.
Doesn't that speak for itself?
Yeah?
What's your
Well,
point?
what would you do?
I'm just asking you. I'm asking you. These are your beliefs.
Right,
Hollywood
those-
Boulevard, and you are attacked by a gang of drug dealers for no apparent reason. What would you do? Would you bow
Pray
down
for
to them
them, or
and
would
say,
you
I'll pray
strike
for
them
you?
back?
Or would you try to do something to survive?
Well, you
You
see,
see,
I don't...
you
You're
s-
asking... You want me to
No,
answer
you
the
asked
question?
me
I'll be happy to
hypothetical
answer the
questions.
question.